The movie and TV period in distance education. Visual broadcast capacity was the next phase in the evolution of distance education. This era began with moving pictures and thereafter with the advent of television. The very first films began in the 1890s were generally only a few minutes in length. By the way, good instructional teachers today also advocate using very short videos. At first, the visuals and text in movies were quite limited. Movies did not include sound until 1927. But this also began a new phase in remote education. Educational films arose in France and Russia and elsewhere in Europe and North America within a few years. In 1934, the University of Iowa became the first higher education unit to use television as a teaching tool. These were limited to groups sitting around a television and watching in point-to-point broadcasts, since there was no commercial television industry then. It was more like a webinar. When television became widespread in homes, there were televised courses over the airwaves starting in the late 1940s at the University of Louisville. There was great hope at first. The original dream saw television as a medium that would liberate and offer education worldwide. With education, it was assumed most citizens would speak several languages, know basic physics and chemistry, enjoy opera, literature, had a working knowledge of other various sciences, both social and physical, with a variety of other interests and skills. In some situations, television was in fact found to be an effective teaching medium. One study by H. Kumada in 1960 found 3 learner traits and 2 technology findings. 1, there was great audience motivation in some situations using television. 2nd, there was more subject matter preparation, since you were going to be on TV, and integration with the teaching process. 3rd, there was also appeal to different learned intelligences among the audience. They also found that the retention is course-specific to whether it's TV or face-to-face, and that the learning medium is not the issue, that even if you go in not liking this particular way of learning, it really doesn't affect the learning achievements. Another report in 1969, Educational Technology in Higher Education, the Promises and Limitations of ITC and CAI, and that is Television and Computer-Aided Instruction, by the National Academy of Engineering, found that 1, with respect to television, the instructor will need a complete re-understanding of his/her function in the distance class. The traditional pure lecture model simply will not succeed. Rather, the role of the lecturer must be radically altered. 2nd, students will need to respond to the shift in the instructor role. It requires realigning their place in the course and in the ability to recreate a social community. Creating a social presence for the faculty and the student will be a key part of this transition. 3rd, the turn to the new technologies is not solely important because it is innovative, but also because it will be a means to address a number of socioeconomic issues. It is a means of reaching students with non-traditional learning styles. Sound familiar? That was 1969. It also found that a review of computer-aided instruction, what was then called the teaching machine, what we now say is computer-based training, was not particularly effective then. By 1969, the realities of using television in distance education had come to quite a different outcome than had hoped. The report noted that 1, only a small part of learning occurs in the lecture halls, and 2, the major purpose of education is to create a competent self-learner. And the medium doesn't seem to matter. But these 2 findings are prescient in that they reflect the current search for authentic learning exercises in online education.